Hey guys, so in this video, we'll be continuing with part 5 on our How to Build an AI SaaS series using Laravel and the OpenAI API. So in part 5, we'll be working on deploying our application live using Laravel Forge. So if this is something you'd like to learn how to do, then watch this video. Okay, so first I recommend that you watch this video here, which goes over setting up an account with Laravel Forge. So I'll link to that video now. So once you watch that video, then you'll have an understanding of how to set up a server with Laravel, and then also the basics of Laravel Forge and uploading code to your server. So you should watch this video first just to have a good foundation of Laravel Forge. And once you do that, then you should have a dashboard like this with a server. And then we can work on launching our AI SaaS with Laravel Forge. So first you need a domain. So I would recommend using Namecheap to get cheap domains, but in this video we'll just be using a subdomain. So I'll just go into my cPanel. Okay, so over here under domains, I'm going to go into zone editor. Okay, and then I'm going to go create new A record, and then I'm going to call this aisaas.mapilitmedia.com, and then I'm going to copy the IP address from my server over here, and then I'm going to paste it as the A record, and then I'm going to click add A record. Okay, great. So now this subdomain has been created and we can connect it to our server. So over here in the root domain, what we're going to do is aisaas.mapilitmedia.com. And then if you bought your domain on Namecheap, then you would just enter your domain here and also follow what we did in the zone editor, where you would just, if it's just the standard domain, then you would just do something like dot or at, and then that would list out the root domain. And then you would add in the IP address over here. And that would allow you to connect your domain with Laravel Forge. Okay, so once we have this, and then just make sure it's a Laravel project, and then we can click add site. Okay, so now our website is being installed. Okay, so we need to set up a GitHub repository. Okay, so we're going to create a new repository on our GitHub. Okay, so here in GitHub, we're going to create a new repository. So let's just name this AI SaaS. Okay, and it's going to be a private repo. And then we're going to create repository. Okay, great. So now let's just go back on VS Code and then add all these commands. Okay, so we're going to copy everything over from GitHub. So over here, it says create the readme.md. So just copy each line, git init, and then add readme. Okay, and then the git commit. Okay, and then the git branch. And then we're going to also create a git ignore file. Okay, so touch.git ignore. Okay, so here's our git ignore file. And then lastly, let's just add in our remaining files. Okay, so what we're going to do is git add all. And then lastly, let's connect to our remote server. Okay, so in VS Code, just copy this command. Before that, let's just do a commit. So because we just added some more files, so git commit -m initial commit. Okay, so it's showing all the files that are going to be added, and then git remote add origin. And then lastly, let's push the files to our repository. Okay, so I just got a permission denied error. So I'm just going to use the HTTPS version instead. Okay, so back in VS Code. Okay, so I'm going to use the HTTPS version of our repository. So I'm going to do git remote set URL origin, and then the HTTP version of our repository. Okay, and then I'm gonna, and then push, so we didn't name our branch master, we named it main, so push to u origin main. Okay, great. So now let's check our GitHub repository. It's now been added to our GitHub repository. So now we can connect this to Laravel Forge. Okay, so what we need to do is connect this deploy key to our GitHub repository. So we're going to copy this, and then back in our GitHub repository, go into settings. Okay, and then deploy key. So add new deploy key, and then paste this key, and then we'll just name this Forge, okay, and then add key. Okay, great. So now the key is connected. Okay, so back here in Laravel Forge, we need to just add in our repository. So we're going to go back into our repo, and then in the code, we're just going to get the SSH version. Okay, and then we're going to go back into Laravel Forge. Okay, and then we're going to go and install repository. Okay, so the branch field is required. So let's just see. So it's the main branch. So we just need to add main. Okay, and then install repository. Okay, so back over here, I think it's now connected, so we can just click deploy now. Okay, great. So I think it's now been deployed. Okay, so let's just check our deployment logs. Okay, so it seems like it's been installed. So all our dependencies were added, and then the migrations tables were ran as well. Okay, so now that our website is live, but we're still getting an error here, and it's just due to our git ignore file. So let's just fix that. So back in VS Code, okay, so what we want to do is just omit the build files so that this error can be fixed. Okay, and then back here in the terminal, we can do npm run build. Okay, and then git add all, and then git commit -m updated git ignore. Okay, and then git push. Okay, great. So this has been added to our repository. Yep, so we have this new commit here. So let's just deploy this on Laravel Forge. So back here in Laravel Forge, let's just click deploy now. Okay, great. So now let's check the website again. Okay, great. So we seem to be able to register. So let's just create an account. Okay, yeah, so we forgot to update our environment variables. So we're getting no API credentials for Stripe. So let's just fix that. So back here in Laravel Forge, we can just go over here into environment. And then we'll just add in our Stripe and OpenAPI keys down here at the bottom. Okay, so I added my OpenAPI key and the Stripe testing keys. But if you're going to launch this to the live version, then you can switch it to the live keys, but I'll just keep it as the testing keys. Okay, and then click save. I set debug mode to true. By default, this is set to false, but just for debugging purposes, then you can set it to true, but when you're done debugging, just set it back to false. And then let's check our application. Okay, so yeah, so we're logged in now. Go into dashboard. And then again, it's telling us to subscribe. So let's just use the testing card. Okay, so just the name and then the card ID. Okay, great. So yeah, so over here again, we're able to access the dashboard now that we're a subscribed user. Okay, and then let's just check that the application is working. So dog. Okay, and here for the image generator, we can try cat. And then there's our AI generated image. Okay, so lastly, what I'm going to do is just show you how to add an SSL certificate, which you need to handle payment transactions on your website. So back in Laravel Forge, you want to go here into SSL and then just do an SSL certificate with Let's Encrypt. Okay, make sure the domain is correct and then click Obtain Certificate. And then we're just going to let this install. Okay, so the certificate is now active. Let's check the website. Okay, great. So here in the corner, we have the site lock. So now it's on a secure connection. So this concludes the end of the video. I hope you're able to launch the application onto a live server. So this concludes the end of this series for now. And in the description, you'll find a link to the source code, which you can purchase for $9.99 if you want to get the source code quickly. But if you just follow the series directly, then you'll still be able to get the same result. But if you're just looking to get up and running with the starter SaaS template, then you can purchase the code that we created so far on my website, mapletmedia.ca. So give feedback to the series on what videos you'd like to see next, and then I can continue with the series once I get more feedback on the video so far. So please like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.